Good morning, it's Helen Norton here, and we're going to paint a bluebird today. It is a beautiful pre-spring morning, and I feel pretty good, but my hair doesn't feel very good. That's why it's in there. Bit of lippy, bit of eyebrows. We're good to go. Let's get to it. When I'm making these videos, I really do rely on the sun. Lighting, artificial lighting is absolutely hopeless. I just can't stand using it. It even affects my eyes. I can barely see. Oh, shit. And I put these great big windows on the north side of the studio, which do a great job of passively heating the concrete floor in the winter. However, the sun belts right in, so I've got to sort of put my table right back if I want to take advantage. But it's been so cloudy and rainy, which is lovely, but no good for filming. So today, a beautiful day, so it's perfect for filming. I had quite a few technical details the last few days, hence I was dragging my 30 days behind a bit. But that was because I was filming so much and I made this silly error of filming with 4K. Oh, how silly. Filming with 4K is fabulous if you're doing like a 5-minute snippet, but when you're filming like for an hour and a half, because that's how long I film for, just to get the end product of 30 or 40 minutes edited footage, the size, and I was using 3 cameras. Oh lordy, love a duck. It was, I think, 25 gigabytes for each camera. So my poor old computer just filled up, no more, couldn't process anymore. So getting all that off the drive, it took a whole day because of all sorts of things you've got to go through with condensing and, transferring files, etc. Where I live down here, we also have really slow internet, even with, all the fancy gadgets in the satellites. So the speed of the internet with uploads, it takes a long time. It's a bit like being on dial-up. However, that's what it is. You can still get it done, but a word of advice to other artists filming, overhead long time, just film on HD 25 frames per second. That's your hot tip. It's good enough for the close-up footage where you're already filming really close. All right, let's get back to the actual painting. Today, I thought we would do a very classic project, something quite mainstream, if you like, and paint a blue wren. Down here in the southwest, we've got lots of these little beauties flying around in the garden. They always give you a huge treat when you see them. It's like, what is that? And there's also like a little red spotted one as well, which is so nice. Now, because I've been making lots of mistakes as usual, I wanted to give myself a chance to be a normal person today and paint in a relatively structured way. So my plan is I've printed this bird out, which I've isolated because it's just a really nice structure. I like with his mouth open. And, you don't have to worry. This is a photo, but it was off I think it was a Wiki Commons site or something. But we're going to transform this. So you're allowed to paint from photos. It's just, you just got to make sure that when you're doing something, you change it. This is your source material. There were lots of pictures of blue wrens sitting there, but I like this mouth open. I thought that gave it a special edge. Now, the treatment I'm going to use today is, because I'm taking the easy road, is masking. Yes, I'm going to do it again. I had such fun the other day with the red camellia in the blue spotted vase. The first thing we've got to do is get a fairly realistic picture of that on my tiny piece of paper. Look, just do whatever it takes. You can draw it freehand if you like. You can trace it. I really don't care. Project it, whatever you do, it doesn't matter. I've actually drawn mine. Because I didn't want to go through the process of making it look really silly, all I did was I cut a little version out that was about the scale. Yeah, this is silly, isn't it? And I just got my basics down by just drawing around the actual shape. I cut it out, a little bit smaller, and I drew around it like that. Right, and then that gave me like the outline, which was good enough for me because I was trying to save time. And then, blah, 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 around like that. And then I did a bit more on the legs. And then I just finished all the details inside and so on. So that's really a quick way of doing it, but you still got to cut it out. Or, like I said, just trace it on. It really does not matter for this particular exercise. And who's going to complain, as I say to National Geographic, if you get a few feathers out of order? Certainly not me. This drawing only needs to be loose because we're going to be coming over it with a wash later. Look at the little legs. It's got a bit of fur there. And just trust that his little feet around. I've just popped him on a branch here, which we can mask or not mask. It doesn't really matter. So I'll show you what we're doing with that later. If you put a branch in, then I guess you know where you're going. So that will be enough, I think, for my drawing. Actually, there was one thing I wanted to check. And I didn't put this detail in here. He's got a wing there, and then he's got a little clip up there, and then there's a bit of business going there. Well, we're getting a bit detailed now. That'll do. And this is kept very simple because we can put the detail in later. So goodbye, little bird. Off you go. Okay, that's good enough, I think, for a drawing that we're going to mask anyway. I've got a kneadable rubber here, which is really good for just backing it off a bit. Now, we can do that right now and just take that back. I've already done it a few times, which is not a bad idea, just to take it back a little bit, because we are going to come in with detail later on. But let's just get there and let's do the masking. Here we go. It's like cheating again. There's a reason for this, and I will show you in a minute. So we're just going to mask the whole bird. I don't really need to do his legs, but we'll do it anyway, because they'll be a darker colour. Because we're being a little bit more careful today, oops, not doing my normal crazy thing, like painting dogs that look like elephants. I'll just take a bit more care. This is not my preferred way of painting, by the way, as you will probably already know. However, I just want to show you that you can do this. I'm sure you all know that. And I'm just being like a normal person here who paints normal, like as in something that looks like it is. If we do this, I guess we can pull it out like as a highlight. Not that I think we need it. I'm definitely going down the rabbit hole here. Hold my hand as I go. See whether this experiment works today. Me being a normal person. Can I pull it off? All right, that's it. That's enough. Wash your brush quickly and put the lid on really well. It gets blocked up otherwise. Being a detail person is not a crime. I'll have you believe it is half the time. It's a difference in your personality type. And when I'm doing what I'm doing here, there's going to be like probably over half the people that even might watch. They probably won't watch for long if they don't like my style. You're going to prefer the step-by-step methods, and even what you like to look at or class as good art, it's very possible that it will be like a detailed rendition of a blue wren. And so the point I'm making is that I'm not for everybody. My style isn't for everybody, but you could pick something up from it, even if you are a more sensing, detail-orientated person. And I think that one of the most important things I learnt about typology is that when you're a more perceptive, what they call perceiver, which is not necessarily about perception, when you are perceiving rather than judging, and again, it's not all about judging, so we won't go there, the perceiving or the more open-ended type person, like myself, we can learn or we can do the detail because we're open-ended, whereas the more closure-orientated judging type, remember it's not judging, but it's just the way you use the function, you will find it much harder to be open-ended. It's because of the closure orientation. So if you're open-ended, and I'll get into a lot more of that in some talking head videos, but if you're open-ended, perceptive, this is using like the Myers-Briggs scale, because you're flexible, you can also make yourself into a detail-orientated, closure-orientated person. It's not your preference, but you can do it. Whereas the other way around is not so easy. So that explains a lot of the stuff about where people just can't loosen up. They want to, but they can't. It's really hard for them. But everybody's got the capacity to expand what's in their shadow or their less preferred functions. So everybody can benefit from exercising the opposite of their preferred functions. Anyway, that's just a light touch over it while we're doing the Bluebird. Let's go back to this. All right, so that should be dry by now. Now, my plan today is to just do a very light wash, background wash over it, and then we're going to rip that masking off, and then we're going to fill in the bird. So let's get started straight away. This is a terrible, resolution for me to work with, but I could put the computer up and it would be much more detailed, but this is about as deep as I'm going to go on this, so it will do for me. I don't really want to have a computer screen in front of me with all that fine detail, or I will just go crazy. Now, I just thought the bird is blue, so whatever we put in the background, we might need to consider it. So I might not put like a really intense blue in the background. Here we go. Let's see if we can ruin this. Oh, it's dark. Because we'll really hype that bird up. So it is a different, more purpley blue, and that is more of a cerulean blue. And the one I generally use, the spectrum blue for the sky, is actually different to these two blues. It's more of a warm blue. So I think we'll be able to use that. So just keep in mind your opposing colours. The background's going to be very, very loose. Always test if you're not sure of the intensity. See, that's just a little bit strong, but we'll start with it and then we'll wash it down. Before I do, I'm going to get my other colours ready if I want to have a grade. Put a little bit of ultramarine blue next to this violet. I'm going to have a little bit of green in the background, like some trees. I've got some greens in my palette, but I'll just pop this on because I want to keep it nice and light and loose. Olive. I'm going to bring it down into a bit of like a gold, and then we'll just go into like a sienna or something down the bottom, just in a more classic fashion. So let's start, and we're going to grade it down, a bit of a tree top line, and then it'll be graded. So we might come in and redefine it a bit afterwards. So let's hop to it. Now, I haven't wet the paper like I normally do. Let's stay with this. My usual intensity there, which will come down. Now, I think because I want that bird, I'm thinking about the horizon here. I don't want it halfway. So I'll bring it down a little bit more to let the bird sort of feel like he's up in there. Oh, look. Uh-oh. That's masking fluid. Oh, what am I going to do about that? That's done. Oh, well, I've stuffed that up now, haven't I? Never mind. We might put a leaf there later on. So that'll do for the blue. If this goes wrong, you can come and do it again when it's dry, okay? So don't worry. Right, let's go for a bit of... Oh, no, sorry. Let's move into the ultramarine blue. We'll go a little bit intense there. Oh, look at that. Isn't that lovely? So we've got a bit of clouding going on there, but that's why we might come back and do another layer. And then I'll move straight into the olive. Yeah, I think we'll do a second layer. Let's see. I mean, we could have had the light green at the top, I suppose. No, we'll do it because it's more warm as it comes down. Oh yeah, I quite like the change in colour here. Normally I've got all that gold down the bottom. Let's just stay with this. I like this. Oh yeah, that's nice. Oh, it's different. Oh, I like it. It's different. Right, let's blow that dry. I quite like it just like that. Even with all this, because remember what we said, this can be bushes. So if we leave all the clouding, it's very organic, isn't it? And that's a bit of a mess. Okay, let me see what happens if I rub it. Oh, that's just terrible, isn't it? Maybe that's going to have to be a leaf. If I go over that again, I can't see what's happening. If I go over with the wash again, it will change that immediacy we've got. Decisions. You know what? I'm going to do it, even though I like it exactly like this, because then you can see how you can fix things up a bit or make them worse. It may go either way. I might use this one this time. Give me a bit more speed. Right, here we go. Let's see if we can ruin this. Oh, it's dark. Oh, it's very dark. Okay, so down we go. Woohoo! Get it light quick. Oh, yeah. Take that off. Too much paint there. And, oh, it's still doing it. Oh, jolly sausage. Never mind. Okay, so we could stop there. That's really intense, that blue now. Actually, if we stop there, and I'll blow dry that back. Let's see what happens then. Oh, that's not right. It's too intense just there. Just wisp over the top. Ooh. Okay, let's go. Well, it's a lot more intense, isn't it? I think I preferred it before, but this is what it is. Now, that was really simple. Do we do any more? No. Let's not. Let's simply work into the bird now and keep this one really simple. You could put all sorts of things here. Just for a change, I'm going to be simple. So I guess it's time for me to rub it off. So let's go. Here it comes. I have a few little speckles where I didn't completely cover it, and I like that. I like that little bit of extra texture. It's like pomegranates in your yogurt. A little bit of crunch. Frozen pomegranates in your yogurt. And linseeds. Oh, that's such a treat if you ever want to try that. Oh, I found myself a new fun thing to do now, masking everything. No, do not do it, Helen. Right, we have a few speckles. It's just dandy. Look at that. Very natural. So, yes, that's the problem. Never mind. I think that happened right at the start when I first dripped a bit there and then I tried to rub it. I guess this is just going to have to be either left there or, you know, you have like a Mr. Curly on there, but otherwise I didn't really want leaves there, but we'll see. We'll work it out. You know, the old trick of doing a big cloud behind his head, but we won't do that today. That's what we got now. Next, I think what we should do is just start with like an overall wash. Now, can I see my lines? Do I want to see them? Will I be able to see them through the wash? All these questions. So a very detail-orientated person would paint each little section at a time. So they would follow their own lines, right? So that they've drawn. I just got to reinforce a couple of things here. And they would use the paint to draw. But I don't want to do that. So what I probably could do is just do the larger areas, isolate the colour and do the larger areas. Yeah, all right, so we'll do a little bit. We'll kind of do it halfway. So I'm going to isolate the larger areas of colour and I'll try and sort of get them a little bit like what's in the picture. And then we'll see what happens. Let's just do it and see. This is definitely like a violet blue. So I'll just go with that. Violet, and it really is violet on ultramarine violet. So what's really clear is this colour here. It's going to be all detail-y here, but I am not going in for the number 000 brush. This is a lovely light painting of the blue wren. I reckon it's going to be as boring as white bread. Just put the initial wash over. We can deepen it later on. And this is, I guess you could say, the non-gambler's method of painting. It's paint by numbers, paint what you see, and that is very clever to do that. People that paint like that are literally fabulous artisans. And an artisan is different to an artist. But funny enough, our society calls everyone an artist because they're not really thinking about what the difference is. It's a bit darker here, so it's blending into the background, but that's okay. We'll sort that out in a minute. We can lighten it up with gouache later, or we can water it down. The true watercolorists, the proper technical true ones, don't use gouache. So get that right. That's absolute truth. They do not use gouache. It's banned in their mind. That's the purist. Technically, if a paint is water-based, it's watercolor, right? So you could almost say that acrylic is, but it's not necessarily water-based. They use, plastic or polymer is what they mix it with. And so while it's water-based, it's kind of not water-based. Like it dries hard, whereas watercolor you can re-stir up. Right, so that is the basic. We've got the tail, which I haven't quite got that right in my drawing, but we'll made it a bit thick. It should be really thin at the base and then wider at the back. So that's a bit of a mistake I made there, because that's actually quite a signature quality of, see how it's thin there? And I just sort of came out with it. So I got that wrong. See, that really kind of makes it, that little thin spade. We can exaggerate the width at the end. I am putting this colour even though that's not in the actual bird. I don't know if you can hear the cows in the background, but it sounds like they're moving calves around and they all start carrying on. When that happens, it's a little bit tricky. Okay, so this one I've got here, it's an old tube of what's called sky blue. It's a Winsor & Newton. I think that's closer, so we might use that. Okay, so just pop that. Yeah, it's a little bit closer. Pop that there. So we're just going to do this. It's going to be quite rough initially. You can fine it up later. See, this is where we're going to lose it a bit up here because of the dark sky, but we'll bring it back with a bit of gouache. And I want to widen these tails, these feathers here as well. What a shame. That's a shame. We could have like just some light fluffy clouds in the back. When I get to that, it's going to be a big risk, but we'll get the bird done first. I am going to use, instead of using sepia, I'm going to use some indigo blue for the black. We could mix it in with a bit of purple on the edge or something, because it's just gives the dark colour a bit more depth. The thing with fine detail is if you start, you have to keep going. So it is literally, as I keep saying, it is a rabbit hole. Beware. And it's often where even really experienced artists get caught, they trap themselves. I did it. I've done it. I do it often. I didn't did it. I do it all the time. And you've seen me do it, even on camera. And this is where you see other artists who have deliberately taken a different road and they just don't go there, because as soon as they go there, they're stuck in it. We naturally do it. We drill down into minutiae just as human beings. We do it. Now, while I'm going, I keep going on the head, because, the details do matter in life about a lot of things. Absolutely. It's so important. And when you're a big picture thinker, you often miss the details. That's why we need each other. We need people that prefer the details and people that don't. The people that prefer them keep us aware, and those that don't keep bringing in the new, fresh perspective for the people that are more detail orientated. Actually, his eye, I won't do it yet because I need to put some light around the outside before I lose where I've got it placed. So we'll just have this little beautiful blue wren with this killer big beak. I might just, these wings, you can darken them a bit more than they are. They need a little bit more brown in them. Flip it around. Looks pretty naive so far, doesn't it? This tail out of proportion. It's really just like a shadowy impression there. His tail it's got a little touch of green in it. So I've got some on my palette here. I'll just dig out of there. It's a bit olivey, so it's a bit of green there. So it's really over amplifying that. A little bit of white. Whoops, too much. I'm going to put that into that bright blue. Now I tell you right now, I'm not going to do all these feathers. That's just not going to happen. So now, in my mind, I'm flicking over to thinking what will give the impression of light and things like that. So then we can lighten up the head. I've just mixed a bit of white with the sallow. It needs to be even whiter. Thinking about the whole painting and what might work. Not looking at the picture so much as thinking about the painting and how to get that feeling of light on the top. Coming in on the feathers. Let's turn that around. A very fast one. Remember, it's not quite as bad as the watery dogs, but, we are not perfection here. Got a few light feathers there. And you know, all these really sharp lines like this can, if you just run a little bit of that gouache, you know, like the colour with a bit of gouache in it, it really does just dull them down. It's quite fantastic, actually. So I am really just running with my feelings at the moment. See, even see there, that's the masking, gives us a sense of like a line there. So we'll have to come in and mix up a bit of that bluey purple. And I'm going to lighten it up to, because it's opaque, to get rid of that little bit of a line there. And I'm imagining that the light's coming, oops, a bit dark. Looking not too bad. This is more of a ultramarine. Okay, let's try that. I think it's more the bluey one, which is what we were kind of wanting there. Let's see. All right, I'll mix it with a bit of white. French ultramarine. That's better. That's a bit better. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. So I'm just, with the darker colour underneath and just putting a little bit of, I guess you could say, you're adding layers with the watercolour, and that over, well, the watercolour with a little bit of gouache, and you know, you can go overboard here, but it's creating a texture feeling. And when you first do it, when you've got gouache in there, it'll look more strong than it is. Now, let me just zoom in for you, because it will dry, but you can build up some texture really easily like that. So if I just put, for example, that's too light. Because the brush is wet, it softens it. So if I had like a really dry brush full of paint, the marks would be like more like that. You know, they're very distinctive. But if I use a little bit, like there's a bit more water in it, only a tiny bit, it's a bit more, I guess you could say, soft and feathery. I don't like those speckles, so I'll go in with a bit of gouache mixed in, purple with a bit of gouache, just a tiny bit, and that should bring some light in over that first wash of purple. So we've still got that line. See that line from the masking? Well, it's where the paint went. So to get rid of that, coming right over to the edge with that slightly gouached up purple, and then in the picture, because of who knows what the lighting is, it's a bit darker, so you know, the light would be going all over the place. So I'm actually going to darken it a little bit, especially here, as if there was some shadow. So bear with me while we get this sorted. Only a tiny bit of water, carefully. And you know, light does curl around and so on and so on, but we are not doing the study in lighting at the moment. just trying to make sense of what we're painting. So you feel happy with it. So it's creating like a little bit of a flecky feeling, which is exactly what the actual photo has. It's by just simply putting a little bit light, then dark, light, then dark. So that's not too bad. And it sort of extends down in there, but I almost don't think we need much in there. We could darken it a little bit with a deeper, slightly deeper purple indigo blue, which I mix into it. Let's see what that does. Yeah, that dulls it down. Now that's a good idea. So the indigo purple is a bit, it sort of, you know, dulls the purple a bit, which is good. That's good. Because the colour is not bright everywhere. In the shadows it is dull. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little shadow under the wing here using the same. Kind of like that. It was such a shame about that. In the photo, this dark sort of carries around a bit more here, which, as I said, we don't want to go too far down that hole. And remembering that even though I drew like a banded line, it's not, you know, it's kind of blends in because of the way the feathers shade. So I'll just go here, blend that in a bit. Because the feathers are soft, right? So in real life they're kind of radiating over the top. It's not like a big line. So these in the picture radiating over the top of the black a bit, it looks like anyway. They're definitely very clear. So looking for like contrast areas helps. Like there's a contrast right there. See that line there, which is quite distinctive. So we can put a bit of that in, I suppose. So after the chroma here, which is like the brightness of the colour, which I'm not getting the right colour because my bottom colour is not dark enough. Go back over that, roughly. Darken the chroma there. Now we need to move into a little bit of brown. Just bring a little brown, put a bit of indigo into the brown, and we'll just pop a bit of that into the wings here. Just looking for contrast, so we've got even a little tiny bit of white is in that wing, which will help to make that stand up. Just a tiny bit of gold, and again exaggerating a little. That's good, that feels nice. I'll leave those there. I will put a bit of gold into the mouth. I did notice something here that I might just fix up. There's a sense of rounding on that wing, which I can do by just putting like a shine on that there. General shine. That's better. Yeah, sort of sense that the wing is coming out because there's a little bit more light where it bends here. Okay, and maybe. The photograph is just so terrible resolution-wise that I can't really see what's going on. So that would be your advantage if you had a screen, but and my beak is just way too thick. because I used the masking, so at least I can see what I do wrong. And I think we need to sort of blend this into, it's got a bit of white on it. Let's blend it into that black a bit. There we go. Okay, it's coming along. Let's do the legs. And at any point, you can just sort of abandon the detail. Just try and get the main parts in. That'll do. And then I was watching a young lady paint some little wren or something the other day. Well, I couldn't watch it all, but she had a short with it on. Oh, God, I thought, my goodness, imagine spending all your time doing that. She was absolutely a master at her craft. But that is a craft, you know, it's the detail of the craft. And I always say it's like a fine wood turning or, you know, an expert jeweler. Oh, jewelers can be artists and jewelers can be artisans. So there's two different things there. Same again, artisan and the artist. Again, my feet are probably nowhere near like reality. They're too fat, those legs, because of the masking, see? So if I had have not used masking on those legs, I would be fine. Now, we should just fix that eye, shouldn't we? Now, the bird's eye, I'm going to go straight in with the darkest black I've got here. And I will not get this eye right, because, yeah, look at that. It's like a gigantic eye in the sky. Right, so around that eye, I just don't actually have a fine enough brush for this, but around it there is actually just a tiny bit of lighter. So I'll just put like a little, I don't know if you can actually see because I've got my hand over it, a little light, I guess you could say like a bit of eyelid over the top. That'll do. Now I'm going blind here with the detail. I can barely see. Magnifying glass needed. Definitely going to be a white dot in this one. Okay, so careful. Okay. Maybe even a couple of little dots inside. Just sort of put a wetness feeling in there. His beak is not right. It's too fat. Actually feeling like that's nearly done because you don't see the whole ring, you just sort of see the top part. That's good. I'm okay with that. So there's obviously some obvious things like that problem there. Just doing a general look at how it's feeling. Oh gosh, I'm so annoyed about that because we could have been finished. Let's put the branch in and you know, you go over and over and over. All right, and then we could ease off with some leaves. I don't think it kind of feels right. We could have like a branch coming up with the leaves behind here. Ooh, what do you think? What do you think? Should we do it? So if we went, oh no, it's going to bugger up the composition, isn't it? The only other way we can do this, I just need to look at this for a minute. Let's have a quick look at that for a minute, just from a distance. What do you think? Should I go for it on the clouds? Will I do it? Oh boy, if I do, they'll have to be just light, and the risk is I make a big mess. Oh, okay, that's not new to me, so it looks pretty plain, doesn't it? So let's do it. Why not? What have we got to lose? It's only an hour of me painting here. Let's put that cloud in. Let's have a go. Wish me luck. And the only thing I can see which would be an advantage is see that black there. We can create a bit more of a contrast. All right, I'm going straight into my white. Here we go, friends. Here we go. Ah! Right. Now I'm going to do this as if it's part of my plan. So take it down so it's compositionally sensible. have to not do this halfway. It's got to look like I haven't just plonked it in straight behind. Take advantage of it. It's adding a little bit of nice detail to otherwise quite boring landscape, isn't it? We can always come back over with the bird and, you know, ease it out. Go back into the bird and fluff it out a bit. However, it's looking nice, nice and natural. Light going into there. He's eating the cloud. We can go bigger above his head. We'll just see. You can always do that afterwards. Oh, you know what I can do now? Fix that beak, that, you know, that fat beak. So that was actually quite a, in real life. All right, we'll fix that in a minute. Well, this video's turned into a long one. Sorry about that, guys. Actually works all right. So we need a little bit more white up the top of this one. Looks like he's swallowing that. That's the only trouble. But I'm creeping up, you see. That's naughty. Stop now, Helen. Stop now. Stay down a bit. All right. Stop. Okay. So I'm going to come back over with a bit of colour in his head and bring him back to the foreground. This reminds me of working in some of the graphics programs like Canva, where you just want to like right click and layer, bring to the front. It doesn't quite work like that in painting. Often I do think of things when I'm painting that I wish were automated like that. It's mostly the undo button, as you can imagine. That's the one I really wish we had. We will have a couple of leaves in a olivey colour, just symbolic. Something you can do with gum leaves in particular is they have just a little tiny touch of red or golden yellow, which is part of the gum tree thing. And that just, look at that, how that spruces it up. Well, I reckon that's finished. I'm okay with that. I left the background, you know, down here very loose. I'll just sign it and then let's pop it in. I got some frames today in the mail and let's see what it looks like in a little frame. So I just got these today just from Kmart. They were really cheap. I mean, look at that. It's fine. I don't know. I'm just going to try it in the frame. They're just photo frames with a standard size. That's what I was saying about, you know, make sure your paper is just the standard size and then you can just do this. There's no need to pay a fortune for framing. And this is a white one. Oh, I think it might look better in the white. I'm not sure. Let's put it in both and see. Oh, dinglies. I've got to go through all this process of pulling these out. And, you know, the thing about these is the proportion's all wrong. Generally, you have the weight on the bottom of a formatted picture, but they've come up with the best of both solutions, like, you know, skinny. So, you know, if you got it that way, like, it's not the right proportion, but hey, I'm not complaining. So let's have a look. Oh, look at it. Oh, how about that? There you go. It's a bird in a frame. Ta-da! Look at that. I like the white mostly. I hope you enjoyed that one today. So today was day 17. Wow. Let me show you something. All these paintings from the challenge so far. That is my work so far. Look, so many pictures. Haven't I done a wonderful job? Oh, even with all the mistakes I've made. Yay!